Hello, my name is Peter Miyamoto, and I'm the husband of Ayako Tsuruda, the artistic director of the Odyssey Chamber Music Series. Unbelievably, this year marks our 20th season. We started in 2004, the year I arrived in Colombia, and it has really been a privilege to collaborate with other musicians and present such a wide range of music to the Mid-Missouri community. We are kicking off this celebratory season with a concert this coming Friday, August 18th at 7 p.m. at First Baptist Church. And it will be a collaboration with the Intercultural Music Initiative, group based in St. Louis. And members from that group will be introducing the pieces they play a little bit later in this episode. For my part, I will be going a little rogue for the Odyssey Chamber Music Series, in that I will be playing some solo pieces by St. Louis-based composer Fred Onovueresuoke. Fred O's music was featured on the soundtrack to The Good Shepherd, a movie from 2006 featuring Robert De Niro, Matt Damon, and Angelina Jolie. You might remember that. His music is being played more and more in Mid-Missouri. He was a visiting composer at MU's New Music Initiative in 2021-2022, I believe, and recently was commissioned by Amanda Collins, our horn professor here at MU, to write a suite, which was most recently played at the Missouri International Composers Festival this past summer. His music has also been featured on Odyssey. In 2021, Ayako and I performed his Sonata No. 3 for two pianos for the bicentennial celebration of Columbia. I remember the performance in First Baptist really well because we were very excited by the last movement called fast, complicated movement called Raging River Dance. And I remember Ayako, in her excitement, tore out some of the pages of the score as she was playing, and it made it even more exciting. Interestingly, one of the pieces I will play this Friday is a version of that for solo piano. So this Friday, I will be performing a selection from Fred O's 24 studies in African rhythm. I'm so excited he wrote this set for piano. They are challenging works. They're very evocative, especially using the rhythms of the African continent. As I said, I'll be playing a set of 6 of these etudes. I'll begin with one that's called Barca. It is a song of gratitude and blessing. It features rhythmic counterpoint, especially between the hands, which makes it very challenging. I'll just play a little bit of it. It's a beautiful piece. Actually, I've played this work before, but in a different version as well. It was in a version for 2 flutes and piano. And I remember when I started working on that, thinking the counterpoint between the hands was so difficult and having to work so hard on it. But it's wonderful to come back, actually revisit this music again in this other version, and it's really a delight. I'll just talk quickly about the other etudes that I'll be playing. The second one is called Uje. It is a Nigerian dance based on rival music groups singing satirical songs about each other in a kind of competition. I'll just play a tiny bit. Jolly juxtaposes writing really meant to imitate speech with more dance-like music. Airoro is an exotic, almost hypnotic homage to a West African river goddess. I'll just play a little bit of the haunting theme. Another movement, Sanza, represents music for imbira, the thumb piano. And I will actually conclude with the solo version of the Raging River Dance. So I hope you join us on Friday, August 18th at 7 p.m. for this wonderful concert by the Odyssey Chamber Music Series.
Hello, I'm Andrew Ruben. I'm a professional cellist, also a professional lawyer, and I'm very excited to be joining the Intercultural Music Initiative and my friends for this concert on Friday, August 18th at the Odyssey Chamber Music Series. And I wanted to take an opportunity not only to introduce myself, but to talk about some of the music that we're going to be playing. One of those pieces is a fascinating work by Ted Lucas entitled Blues for violin, flute, and cello. And Mr. Lucas is an interesting gentleman. He had a very successful career as a composer, as an educator, and as an academic administrator. So he studied at San Diego State University composition and got a doctorate at the University of Illinois, but then he also was fortunate enough to spend a year studying in Paris with the great Nadia Boulanger. And she was a seminal figure who had mentored and taught really every one of the leading American and many of the leading European composers of the early and mid 20th century. And so it's just fascinating that he made this turn from, you know, American roots to the European experience and then came back. This piece is relatively short and straightforward, but really wonderful. It starts off with an opportunity for the flute and then the violin and then the cello to take a turn at solo riffs it's marked rubato and solo, so really meant to be improvisational in a blues style. And then I'm the third one, and then I transition into impersonating a string bass and laying the bass line for what's really a fun riff and playful game between the violin and the flute for the rest of the short piece. I want to play just a snippet of it for you to give you a sense of what it might sound like. This is the cello solo leading into the second section. String bass. So it's really a fun piece. I hope that you all join us on Friday and that we get to play it for you in person. And I think if you come, you'll really enjoy it. Thanks so much.
Hi, I'm flutist Wendy Hymes. and I'm really excited to be coming to perform on the Odyssey Chamber Music Series. My love of flutes knows no bounds, so I'm really excited that I'll get to play 3 different instruments on our concert with you next week: the regular soprano flute, the piccolo, and the alto flute. My love of flutes from around the world has really led me to study music by a lot of composers from around the world, including music by composers from African countries. And this ties in very nicely with our mission here at the Intercultural Music Initiative, which is to perform music by diverse composers, especially those of African descent. So we're really excited to be bringing you some unique pieces next week, which is what our mission is: classical music reimagined. One of those pieces that I'm excited about is the African American Suite for flute, cello, and piano by Undine Smith Moore. Dr. Moore is a very famous African American female composer. And not only was she a decorated composer, but she was also recognized for her passion as an educator. During her years in Virginia, she co-founded the Black Music Center at the Virginia State University in an effort to recognize and also encourage other Black composers. Each movement of this trio is inspired by the beautiful Negro spiritual melodies, and you'll hear many of them throughout the 4 movements of this trio. One of my favorite movements features the alto flute, and it has this beautiful melody. I'd like to play it for you. Quite lovely. Another one of the wonderful chamber music pieces that we're going to bring next week is by a composer from the Czech Republic named Philip Halaki. And in our search for looking for chamber music with our specific instrumental combination, which is flute, violin, cello, and piano, we found this piece by this very young composer. He's only 30 years old. And we are really enjoying putting it together. The sonorities are at times very lush and at times just very, very gentle and sparse. So it is quite a variety of melodies and textures, which we think you'll really enjoy. And it's we read that this piece is dedicated to his mother. And as a mother, I think that just fills my heart with joy. So we'll see you next week with all the flutes.
Hi, my name is Jessica Platt. I'm a violinist, and I will be playing with Wendy, Mary, Andrew, and Ayako in the first movement of the telephone book written by Michael Torkey. He started this piece while he was still at Yale, and it was in 1985 that he started it, and it was performed September 9th, 1995 in Milwaukee. It is it's sort of like a post-minimalistic piece, so it has aspects of minimalism, but it's kind of transformed even further than, and it's so fun. It is so fun. It's somebody described it as a fun romp. It has a lot of serious things in it, but if you're a theorist, you're gonna like it. If you're not a theorist, you're gonna love it too. You don't have to be a connoisseur of music, even classical music. It's got harmonies and rhythms of jazz, rock, and pop. And in fact, my first motive that I play, he got from Chaka Khan's piece, the bass line, which is I had no idea until I did a little bit of research on that. And yeah, you're going to really love it. You'll probably go home humming parts of it. It's a little hard not to. So he wrote it like a telephone book. So if you're at the A's, it starts off all the same. And then by the time you're at the end of the A's, it's changed a lot. So you hear the beginning and then it morphs a little bit. So he wrote it very much like that. And he wrote, and the circle of fifths, he goes through the entire circle of fifths. So this is my very, very first motif that gets shared. So, and it gets transformed just a little bit. So again, we look forward to seeing you, and you're going to have fun listening to it. I do believe we're ending the program with it, so you should go home humming it.